Hey, my name's Kevin. I help scale e-com DTC brands doing at least $20,000 per month, scale to seven figures and beyond by overhauling their email marketing channel to elevate them for longevity, scale, impact, and profit. Now, I've gone ahead and created this Klaviyo guide for you to be able to get a deeper understanding of email marketing and how you can best leverage that for your e-com DTC brand. So, my objective with creating this video is to help you go from zero to hero with email marketing. Whether you own an ecom brand or you manage an email marketing or you manage the email marketing for an ecom brand. With that said, what I'm sharing in this video contains principles that apply to any industry. And if you're not conducting your email marketing in the ecom direct to consumer space, that's perfectly fine. You just need to extract the principles and apply them to your specific situation. I aim to keep it as simple as possible whilst going in depth as much as I can. I'm going to do my best to break everything down in an easy to digest format so you can leverage the magic of email marketing to its fullest potential. My goal is that this video will be the only resource you need to get started with email marketing and for it to serve as a resource you can continuously refer back to as you grow and optimize your email marketing channel. With that said, let's get straight into it. So, let's do a quick Klaviyo guide overview. This is what we're going to touch on. And first thing is going to be to assess, the current standing of your email marketing channel, the email health and deliverability. We're also going to go over sign-up forms, list and segments, email design, copywriting, flows, campaigns, analytics, and overarching principles. Just some key takeaways that I'd like to share with you so that you can store them somewhere and refer back to them at any point. This is going to be a kind of longer video. I'm expecting, at least. It took me a while to build out this outline and kind of figure out how I wanted to approach this video. But occasionally, I'm going to take a sip of water, like now. Have a nice little pause. So I'm nice and comfortable. I recommend you get comfortable because it's going to be a good video. So, first step to assess. Okay, this is the first step, which is to assess where you're at. Are you an established brand already doing email marketing? Have you not yet tapped into the power of email marketing? Are you already executing but not necessarily generating the results you want? Or perhaps you want to optimize it as much as possible to maximize the marketing channel. Regardless of your situation, we're going to cover a quick overview of what you should look out for, some key metrics to pay attention to, and how they provide actionable insights. And look, even if you're starting from scratch and you don't have any data whatsoever, you're going to want to pay attention to this part. All right. Now, I have a visual. Occasionally, we're going to bounce back and forth from this doc and a visual that I've created for each step just to give you a deeper understanding. So, here we have just some steps for the process of assessing your email marketing channel. So I'm just going to go one by one. First thing that you want to assess is your attributed revenue. Are you in that 20% to 30% plus range? That's typically the range I like to aim for my clients. It's a healthy range. Obviously, you want to optimize as much as possible and get it way above that 30%. In fact, for my clients, I have multiple clients that are exceeding that 30%. They're getting 40, 50%. That's at scale. So you can definitely achieve that. Keep in mind, though, that every brand's different, but you should be able to achieve 30, 40, 50% of your revenue being directly attributed to email. If you're not within that range, now you kind of have a goal of what to work towards. So that's typically where you should aim to be, is in that 20 to 30% plus range. And if you're in the low 20s, definitely aim for the 30s and beyond. Next, you want to assess your email health and deliverability. So what's your email health score? Are your emails even getting delivered? Are they landing in inbox, or are they landing in promotions or spam? This is something that we're going to touch on, and this is what you want to assess. Where are you at with in regard to your email health and your deliverability? Now, your average open rate should be at the bare minimum 30%. At the bare minimum, that goes both for flows and campaigns. If they're anything below 30%, you may need to consider that you might have deliverability issues, or your emails they're not landing, right? So keep that in mind. I routinely get 50, 60, 70, 80% open rates for my clients. So you definitely want to be at a bare minimum of 30%. If you're below that, something's definitely off. Segmentation. Are you segmenting your campaigns? Are you tailoring your messaging to specific subsets of your audience, right? This is very powerful. Frequency. Are you sending 2 to 3 emails or less a week? Now you might say like, oh, that's too much. 2 to 3 emails a week. Look, right now, let's just break down the myth that you can and you should be sending more than one email a week. Okay, you are not bothering your audience, especially if you do it right. And if you're implementing segmentation, which you should be, it's really not a bad thing to send 5 to 7 emails a week. You could send daily and get extremely positive results. And when I say positive results, at least in the e-com space, that means generating sales. So at the bare minimum, I would recommend sending 2 to 3 emails a week at the bare minimum. Flows. You want to assess the state of your flows. Do you have core flows such as your welcome, your browse abandon, your cart abandon? You want to ask yourself, are these flows too short? Are they too long? Etc. You want to test between that and ask yourself as well, do you have custom journey splits? Okay, so understanding your customer journey, do you have different splits? In other words, do you have different paths that a specific person could go through based on criteria that they fill or a specific action that they take? Do you have lucrative flows? So these are your flows like post purchase, cross sell, upsell, your win back. A bunch of custom lucrative flows can be built out for your brand specifically. You just have to get a little bit creative. And there's so many different lucrative flows that you can build out. But to keep it simple, do you have those set up? Now, across the whole board for your flows, are your open rates bare minimum 30% plus? If they're not, then you got some testing to do. You got some things to tweak. Are the click rates 3% plus? So your click-through rates, are they at least 3%? If they're not, again, you got some tweaking to do. Are they set up with smart sending correctly? So obviously, if you're familiar with Klaviyo, you're familiar with their smart sending feature. It's something that they've built in to mitigate this idea of not sending multiple emails to the same person in a short period of time. I understand where they're coming from it, but you got to set it up correctly so that it's leveraged correctly. Otherwise, you're going to prevent people from getting specific emails that are probably meant for them to receive in that time period, which can be very powerful, which means, a lot of sales. And if you don't have it set up correctly, you're losing out on sales. Now, sign up forms. Do you have any? Like you want to at least have an opt-in form for cold traffic so that they can subscribe to your list and your list is growing, right? Uh, if you do already have that, what is it converting at? Typically, I like to aim for 5% plus. I routinely beat out my clients' opt-in controls, always in the first month. Yes, I'll brag about that a little bit, but I like to aim for 5% plus. So that's a target that you may want to set for yourself as well. Almost every client that I've ever brought on, if not 100% of them, their opt-in forms are performing at 1% or less. So we're easily able to double, triple, I don't know the right word, quintuple, if that's the right word, within the first month. So that's something you want to take into consideration. And sign up forms are very important because it has a downstream effect on your entire email marketing channel. In addition to those type of things you want to look out for, you want to ask yourself as well, are you targeting specific segments or audiences? You can create sign up forms or opt-in forms tailored to specific traffic. For example, traffic coming from a Facebook ad or traffic coming from an Instagram ad. That is very, very powerful. Okay. You can get very creative with it, but you want to ask yourself, are you targeting specific segments or audiences? Because that can significantly increase your opt-in conversion rate. Now, what I was saying, where I typically like to aim for 5% plus, that's on cold traffic, and that's your basic, you know, again, your cold traffic opt-in form that's on your homepage. Someone comes for the first time, that's what they get served. And another thing you want to assess is your customer relationship. How have you been treating your customers up until this point? Seriously think about it. How have you been treating them? Are you simply sending them discounts all the time and just trying to extract every single dollar they have out of their pocket? Or are you building a legitimate relationship with them? Have you set healthy expectations? Again, if your opt in form is, hey, we're going to give you 10, 20% discount off your first purchase if you opt in, you're setting the expectation that, hey, we're a brand that likes to give out discounts. So now maybe you're diluting your brand with these customers because now their expectation is, oh, I'll just wait till they give me a discount. If they give it to me as for something as simple as signing up to their email list, maybe they'll give it to me for everything else. I just got to wait and be strategic as a customer, right? And that's, that coincides with the last question. Have you diluted your brand by having a sales focused relationship? Now, we're going to touch on this. And just to give you a quick preview, I'm all about creating and cultivating authentic relationships with your audience. Okay, that's a massive thing. When you build authentic relationships with your audience, that is what makes a difference. That's what elevates your brand for longevity, for scale, for impact, and for profit. So let's go back to the doc. And that was the visual. So this will actually allow you to craft a high quality, high converting custom strategy for your brand. Okay, it's very important that you assess where you're at. Essentially what you're doing is you're sharpening your axe. You're learning where the weak links are and how you can solve them. All right, so this is massive. You want to assess properly so you can operate with the utmost clarity. You do not want to be working on the wrong things simply because you think it's one thing when in reality it's another. This is why this is the first step. You want to know where you're at because you may already know where you want to go. But if you don't know where you're at and what you need to focus on, your work will not be as effective. So that's just the first step to assess. Now, step 2 is email health and deliverability. So this is vital. It does not matter how good your emails are or how dialed in you are with everything else. If people do not receive your emails, then everything else you do means nothing. I'm going to repeat that. If people do not receive your emails, everything else you're doing literally does not matter. Okay? This is such a vital step. It's very important to analyze your email health. And I have a visual. So let's go on over to that. Let's see. Let me move me. Email health and deliverability. So, 2 things. We want to learn signs or see what signals that are out there that let us know that we need improvement. Okay. So, some signs that you need to improve your email health and deliverability is that perhaps you have a significant drop or you consistently have very low open rates. Your email health score is poor, and we're going to touch on that. Your emails are not landing in the inbox. And there's a plethora of other signals. Okay. And there's so many different things that come into play with the email health and deliverability. But I'm just going to condense it to that because I like to keep things very simple. And if you want to learn all these other, signs that you need improvement, there's plenty of resources online for this. A simple search on YouTube, on Google, whatever, you will find a bunch of different reasons. But these are typically some common patterns that you can see. And I have experienced this with a client of mine, and I've solved that very quickly. And it's an easy thing to look out for. So, how do you improve this? One way is through cleaning your list. Okay. Another way is proper segmentation, ramping up your email channel. So if you just created this and you got a new domain, whatever, you want to ramp up, okay? Or if you have a list that's been dormant and you're going to start emailing more frequently, you want to ramp up that sending frequency, okay? Your DNS settings, such as the SPF, the DKIM, the DMARC, you want to ensure all these records are set up correctly. And In addition to that, another thing you can do is email account warming. So I'm going to go a little bit deeper on that as well. But these are all things you can do to ensure you have good email health and you have good deliverability. And again, I like to keep things very simple. I could turn this alone into a 1 hour, 2 hour presentation, but I'm going to leave that for another video because it's something that could be explained at a whole nother level of depth. So let's go back to our doc. And again, let's keep it super simple. Whether you have signs of poor email health / deliverability or not, you can take action on the following steps to resolve the issue and or be proactive. Emphasis on proactive. Be proactive. If you're not being affected by this, that's fine, but learn this. It's so important whether you're managing your own brand's email marketing channel or you're managing another. It's so important to understand these things as a whole so that when the problem does arise, you'll be able to do what I did with a client of mine and solve that issue within the first week, within 4 days. And a lot of people say that, oh, it takes 30 days, 60 days, whatever to, get out of spam, this and that. But if you learn this properly at a very deep level, you'll be able to do what I did, which is solve the problem in 4 days. And on top of that, understand what's going on to be able to assess that that's the actual problem. So first things first is you can check your email health score. Okay, I use Email Dojo. There's tons of tools out there. I only use Email Dojo because I like it. Okay, find one that you like. I'm not affiliated with them whatsoever. It's just a tool that I found and I like it. And it's very simple. You plug in your domain and it'll tell you some potential issues. Once you are given those potential issues, solve them. Go one by one and solve them. Then you're going to, recheck it, reassess. Another thing you can do is to ensure you have proper segmentation and a clean list. Then you're going to simply ramp up the volume of emails you send and ensure it is to an engaged audience. So what happens sometimes when you have low open rates? Well, when you have low open rates, first you need to ask yourself, are you sending to an engaged audience or are you just blasting it to your entire list? Obviously, you do not want to be blasting to your entire list, so you need to get some proper segmentation going on. And other times is that your list isn't clean. You probably still have subscribers that are not opening. They haven't opened an email in the last 30 days. Maybe they haven't clicked. It depends on how you want to set up your engaged audience, but that's something that you may need to do. Maybe you need to suppress certain subscribers so that they're not receiving marketing emails because they're damaging your email health and your deliverability. You can even leverage an email domain warming tool. What I've used is Lemworm, same thing, just as Email Dojo. Not affiliated with them, but it's a tool that I like. I've been using them for the last few years. Works like a charm. There's plenty other tools out there. Just find one you like, master it, and leverage it. Now, I'm not going to harp on this whole email health and deliverability too much. Again, there's plenty of resources between YouTube, Google, books, and even now people are creating courses on this. Worst case scenario, pay a couple $100 and to an expert and just learn that way. Take an hour of their time and learn that way. They'll be happy to explain everything to you. There are literally no excuses for not having your email health and deliverability dialed in. Okay, so that's step 2. Step 1 was assess. Step 2 is to understand or dial in on your email health and deliverability. Now let's move on to step 3, which is sign up forms. Okay, these are very powerful in growing your list and elevating your brand. Your sign-up forms have a downstream effect across your entire email marketing channel. This is your first point of contact for email marketing. Okay, as an email marketing channel, a quality opt-in form can be the difference between poor customers and high converting long-term customers. This is like your first impression. The opt-in form for a cold audience, right? This is your first impression. If you have a bad first impression or you don't set yourself up for success, then you kind of have to like reconstruct that and work backwards. You have to teach your customers to unlearn certain expectations and then instill the proper expectations. But if you do that from the get-go, that sets your email marketing channel up for success. Now, there's quite a few factors that come into play when crafting a high converting opt-in form, such as copy, the offer, the intake values you're requesting, the targeting of the opt-in form, and the design. There's more, but I'm just going to leave it there as to not overwhelm you. And with what I just listed, I believe that does 90% of the heavy lifting. So you don't need to dive any deeper. If you focus on just those 5 things that I shared with you, the copy, offer, intake values, targeting, and design, you'll be perfectly fine. And actually, just this is how I've helped a client increase their opt-in form by 446% in the first 5 days, I believe. That's how long an A/B test was. 446% increase, and it's just been performing super well. Now, I have another visual for this, so let's dive into that. So, sign up forms, very simple. If you have sign up forms, optimize them if needed. Again, this is the copy, the offer, the intake values, design, targeting, etc. You can dive deeper with Klaviyo resources, and I will dedicate some time to giving sign up forms its own video, because again, this could be a 1 hour long video. I can get very in depth with this. But then also, you want to assess the state of your sign up forms. Do you only have one? Do you only have two? Can you essentially just build more? And can you build more in the sense that it's improving personalization for your customers and creating tailored experiences that your customers will just love, right? So let's go back to the doc. Um, the opt-in form is really a step in the process where you can have an instant win. Again, like I said before, with a client of mine, we increased their opt-in conversion rate by 446% in just the first 5 days. Okay. That is an instant win. When you increase the amount of people that are coming into your list by almost 4.5 times, do you not think that plays a massive role in the amount of sales you can then get? If you have everything dialed in, your flows, your campaign strategy, if you simply just tweak and optimize your opt-in form to convert 4.5 times better, do you not think your sales will naturally increase? Of course they will. And that's why I say this has a downstream effect on your entire email marketing channel. And if you do this right, it actually elevates your brand as a whole. It doesn't just elevate your email marketing channel, it elevates your brand as a whole. So, again, typically, every ecom brand I've worked with, this is something that can be instantly improved. Keep in mind those factors I listed earlier while trying to achieve the overall goal, which is to craft a personalized experience that will build an authentic relationship. And I just want to point that out. I'm repeating this again. To build an authentic relationship. That is the key here. With your emails, you want to build an authentic relationship. So some simple keys that I want to share with you. Sorry, let me get some water real quick. 23 minutes in. If you're finding value in this video, go ahead and drop a like. I'd really appreciate that. And I'm sure, whatever algorithm crap that goes on in the background, it'll be served to others and help serve them with their brand or some brands that they're managing. But let's get back to this. So some simple keys to share with you. You want to meet your prospects where they're at. Okay. You want to meet them you want to continue the conversation they're having in their head, right? You want to understand where they came from and where you want to get them to. And that that works at different levels. So for example, where do they come from traffic wise? And where do you want to get them to? On your list as a customer, as a high value customer that becomes eventually a brand evangelist. But then you also want to understand, what was their past journey leading up to this moment? Really, like what happened leading up to the moment that they are now looking at your opt-in form. Okay. And then through that opt-in form, where do you want to get them to? And when you can understand that, you'll be able to understand how you can properly leverage an opt-in form for your brand specifically. And then another simple yet very effective key is place an emphasis on the relationship with your customer. Okay, place an emphasis on the relationship with your customer. This is all I do to consistently beat out my client opt-in controls by 300% plus, always in the first month. And typically it doesn't take me that long. And it's because everyone has this backwards approach of, oh, we need to give them something in exchange for just their email. You don't, okay? All my opt-in forms, look, all my client opt-in controls, or I'm sorry, all my opt-in forms that I've done for clients, beating out their controls by 300% plus, always in the first month, because that's typically the first thing I like to tweak immediately, asks for more intake values, more information from the customer than what is deemed normal, does not offer any sort of discount or any sort of deal. In fact, if we offer something, we mask it, and the design is simple, and the amount of steps in an opt-in form, sorry, for the client that I'm just thinking for a bunch of different things. The client that we increased their opt-in form by 446% in just the first test in 5 days had about 5 or 6 steps in that opt-in form. Now, normally people would say, oh, don't do that. That's too many steps. There's going to be, people are not going to want to submit their information. But guess what? They submit their email, their first name, their last name, their birthday. We collect so much information throughout those 5, 6 steps that the traditional approach, or what other marketers may say, they'll be like, oh, no, that doesn't work. I beg to differ. Okay. And I urge you to just test it. Do an A/B test. That's it. That's all you got to do. But I highly recommend, when you're building your opt-in form, that you stand out by building a custom and tailored experience for your customers. So instead of just offering 10% and then, oh, submit your phone number too and we'll give you 20%, that's boring. That's lame. Just build a custom and tailored experience where your customer will be like, wow, I've never seen this before. This is exciting. You get them pumped up to become a part of your brand, to join you on your journey as your brand grows. Now, my last point on sign up forms is to not dilute your brand with discounts like everyone else does. I just gave you the example. People always do 10%, 20%, whatever, in exchange for just an email and the phone number, or one or the other. Sometimes it's ridiculous. But don't do that. Like, get their first name, get the name that they like to be called by, a nickname, whatever. Like, create a customized experience. Because when all you do is offer discounts, that gets boring. And do you want to be like every other brand? Like, do you want people to just be like, okay, I'm going to go on this site for their first time. I know what to expect. Oh, they're going to offer me a discount. Cool. Yeah, I'm going to submit my email. But then once I get my discount and purchase, I'm going to unsubscribe because I don't want to receive their boring emails, right? If they already have that association with other brands, they're naturally going to give that association to you. So why not do the unexpected? Why not stand out and operate in a way that just leaves your customers, dumbfounded by their incredible experience they're having? Offering discounts, it's boring. It creates poor expectations, thus creating poor customers. So if you don't want to do it for your customers, at least be a little selfish and do it for yourself. Okay. If you don't want poor customers, create a custom tailored experience opt-in. All right. So that's the sign up forms. Now let's move on to step 4. Step 4, list and segments. All right. So a list is static. A segment is dynamic. What I mean by that is that a list is sort of, to give you an example, it's like the main list that when people opt in, that's where they're automatically added to. Okay. You can manually add people to a list. You can automatically add people to a list. For example, having that set up with the opt in form and having that tied to the main email list, right? Segments are dynamic. So you can create specific criteria, and when a subscriber fulfills that criteria or takes a specific action, they are then put in that segment. So this saves you a lot of time because that's automatically updated. You don't have to consistently go in and out. And And let me show you a visual to be able to discuss on this as a little further. So lists and segments. Again, lists, they're static. People can automatically be added to a list or manually added to a list. The example I gave you, main list, that new opt-ins get automatically added to. Segments, again, these are dynamic. These can be ever evolving, which is the beautiful thing about segments. An example is a VIP segment. So if you know your VIP criteria, rather than filter through all the data to manually add the VIP customers to a list that you may want to send to, you simply create a segment with the criteria and it will automatically update it for you. Create it once and it stays updated. That's the beauty of a segment. So let's go back to the Google Doc, and I just want to reiterate how important it is that you understand this difference. It'll help you with with organization purposes, and it'll save you a bunch of time, especially as you build out a high volume and high converting email marketing channel. When your list starts to go from 3,000, 4,000 to 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 subscribers, it can get messy very quickly. Okay. If you can create, or first of all, if you can understand these differences so that you can properly organize the data that you're housing within your Klaviyo account, it'll be much easier to organize things through specific lists and then creating segments so that's automatically getting updated. Because as your list grows and as you gain a deeper understanding of your brand and your customers and the different experiences and journeys that you want to build out for them and that they go through, you're going to have to create a variety of segments. And with small accounts, for example, I have one account that I manage that it's roughly 1,000 subscribers, maybe even less, like 900 or something. It's a channel or it's a brand that's performing super well. Um, I already have, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 different segments, maybe 15. That's with a small account. So imagine when you have a much larger account, and for example, if you have a brand that has so many different paths a customer can go down, you may want to create more customized segments. Excuse me. Um, so that can get very messy very quickly if you don't properly set it up. You want this data to be working for you. Okay, so you want this to be updated automatically. You don't want to get bogged down by having to manually go in and see, okay, do they fulfill this criteria? Cool, let's move them over here. It's a lot of work, waste your time. But essentially, just I want you to understand that difference because that will help you leverage your email marketing account to a much higher degree. Now, some simple segmentation you can implement. Again, segmentation, it's something that I'm going to give the opportunity for it to have its own video because I can go very in depth into that. But simple segmentation, if you're just getting started, create an engaged 30-day audience. And that's kind of going to depend on your frequency as well. If you're going daily, you can probably shorten that, maybe 14 days. But create an engaged 30-day audience. That is the audience you want to consistently send email campaigns up to, or campaign emails. Okay, and we're going to touch on the difference between campaigns and flows. But engaged 30-day segment, perfectly fine. You can create more, 60, 90 days, whatever. But for the sake of simplicity, engaged 30 days, and then create a segment for VIP customers. So in order to create a VIP customer segment, you need to understand what is the criteria that categorizes a customer as a VIP customer. And again, I'm going to create a video with more in-depth segmentation in the future. If you want me to, just let me know down in the comments if you'd like me to go deeper on that. But something that'll help you with segmentation is if you just simply ask yourself these two questions. How should I break up my audience in order to communicate with them appropriately and make them feel heard? Okay. How do you break up your audience accordingly so that you can communicate with them appropriately and make them feel heard? This is a very powerful question to ask yourself. And is there an objective with this particular audience? And how should I communicate with them to achieve this objective? Okay. Ask yourself those questions and you'll be able to create a custom set of segments a custom segmentation strategy that just works completely in your favor, that's highly profitable, but not only is highly profitable, but creates brand evangelists, and you're building authentic relationships with your customers. Okay. Let me move over to step 5. Oh, actually, I need a sip of water. Jeez, throat's drying up. All right. So step 5, we're halfway there. So step 5, email design. Okay. I'll make this very, very simple for you by asking a very, very simple question. Do you want to create artwork, or do you want to create sales that build a relationship? Again, do you want to create artwork, or do you want to create sales that build an authentic relationship? Okay. Each have their time and place, but I personally value more the relationship with the audience that will naturally create a byproduct of high converting long term customers. Okay. Artwork emails, these super cool designed emails, they look cool. They look cool. And some, honestly, some blow me away, but they don't get me to purchase. And if you want to create artwork, that's perfectly fine, but it doesn't move the needle forward, especially when you compare it to copy driven emails. Essentially, what you're doing when you're creating artwork is you're turning your email marketing channel into a glorified billboard. That's what I like to call them. You're turning your emails into a glorified billboard. We don't want that. We do not want that. Your messaging, your copy is what makes the difference. So naturally, when you're doing copy driven emails, you don't even need to worry about much else other than writing quality copy. Okay. You don't need to hire a graphic designer. You don't need to have this, you know, um, unnecessarily complicated workflow with a bunch of different team members on graphic design, a graphic designer working with your copywriter, and then a marketing manager, an email marketing manager to be able to facilitate that whole operation. You don't need any of that. If you just focus on high quality copy, you're going to get sales and you're going to build an authentic relationship with your customer. So you can use images here and there. Just keep in mind that they do affect deliverability, and there's a way around that. And that way around it requires even more resources, financial, time, uh, people to hire. It becomes a mess. But copy driven emails is what makes a difference. And I have clients that I typically include some images, okay? But I also have other clients that have 0 images. And I'll tell you right now that my clients that have 0 images in their emails are actually outperforming the clients that I manage where we have some images. And the reason why we have some images is because they feel tied to it, right? They feel like they have to use images, but that's just a compromise that I come with, or that we've come to, right? Now, I can actually think of a client right now. It's funny, I wrote this on my doc. But I have a client right now that we use 0 images in the campaign emails that I write. And we consistently generate about $1,000 per email. And I'm able to send at a higher frequency as well. Because in my copy driven emails, I take an approach that focuses on building an authentic relationship. So they look forward to the emails, which means I don't have to limit myself to 1 email a week. Okay. If we were to operate based on that logic of, oh, I should only email once a week, and an email is generating $1,000 on average per email, and I can only send 4 a month, you're telling me that I'm only allowed to make $4,000 through email in a month? No. I send 2 to 3 emails a week, and we're going to be ramping that up. Sometimes I send more. And actually, at the time of recording this today, our emails have, the last few emails are exceeding $2,000. And this is still with a relatively small list. And now we're consistently hitting above $2,000 in each email I send. And some emails I'm not even selling. So that just goes to show the power of copy-driven emails. And again, this client has a relatively small list. This is the client that I was talking about earlier, where they have, I think it's about 900 to 1,000 subscribers at the time of recording this. My opt-in form, and we actually started with, I think, only 600 or 700. So it is a list that is growing significantly, because that opt-in form as well, I was able to beat out their control. I think it's like 348%, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it was a 3.48x increase. And that one, I didn't have to test it any longer, but I tested it for about 7 days, and it's just been performing immaculately. So again, if you want to include images, go for it. Just keep it minimal. This step of the process is pretty straightforward, so I don't feel like I need to spend a lot of time, but I do want to show you how I navigate this process with clients, so you can kind of get a feel for how you can approach it with your own brand or one that you serve. So let's move over to that visual for email design. And so this is typically the process that I take. Again, just like everything I do, I keep it simple. I have a very deep level of knowledge on all of this and experience, but even I like to keep things simple. There's no need to overcomplicate things when it's not necessary. So first step in the email design process is to intake branding assets. So if you're serving a brand, you want to learn what branding assets they have available. Okay. And I guess if you're operating for your own brand, you want to understand what you have available in terms of branding assets. Then you want to learn, what are the branding desires? What are your desires as an e-com founder? What are your branding desires as an e-com founder? And if you're a service provider, what are your clients' branding desires? You want to know where they're at and where they want to go. Okay. And then once you understand that, once you've reflected upon that, once you've gotten their point A and you learned their point B, you want to create 2 to 3 polarizing examples, design examples. Okay. And I say polarizing because if you do similar designs, you make one main design and then you make certain tweaks on another. That's not the point. The point is to dial in on this and figure out what you like the most. First of all, I recommend they be minimal designs, but get as creative as you want. But make them polarizing so that you can really see the different approaches you can take. And potentially in the future, you might change your preference, and maybe you even conduct a test for email design and see that one performs better than the other. Although I will tell you that it doesn't really make that huge of a difference. It's the copy that makes the biggest difference. So that's why I say just 2 to 3 polarizing examples. Don't take long on this. Hone down on one particular style and then simply finalize the style. That's it. It's very simple. That's for email design. And with that said, let's move on to step 6. Copywriting. So this is the fun part. Well, everything about email marketing is pretty fun. Or maybe I'm just a nerd. But copywriting, it's pretty fun. And in anything you do, but specifically with email, since that's the topic of discussion, Klaviyo email marketing, it's the biggest difference maker. Okay. This is a vital skill to master over time. And the beautiful thing about it is that you can really leverage the skill to set your brand apart big time. Okay. Allocate an hour a week to improving your copywriting skills, because this is what will make the difference. There's there are 3 simple steps I follow in order to craft high converting copy. And yep, you guessed it, I have a beautiful visual just for you. So let's go over it. Let's go to copywriting. All right. So the first step, market research. Okay. You want to write down within market research, you want to write down everything you know about your customers, from their pain points to their dreams, their desires, etc. There's plenty of online resources for copywriting. Again, if you want me to, I will give copywriting its own video, because that's something that you can go very in depth in. Um, but for now, I'll just keep it pithy. So, second thing you can do is conduct research on platforms like Reddit, Amazon, etc. Um, you want to, when you're conducting this research, essentially what you're trying to figure out is, what are the pain points, what are your prospects or your ideal customers' dreams, what are their desires, what are their beliefs, etc. Like, you want to learn all these things about your customer. And yeah, leveraging Reddit and Amazon are great. There's a bunch of different ways you can conduct your market research. The third thing you can do is to survey your customers and your non-customers. So if you're a brand that's already in operation, or you're serving a brand that's already in operation and they're already getting sales, survey the customers and the non-customers, and learn, what do they want? Why do they want what they want? Do they believe that there's better options? Do they believe that this is the best option? Just try to understand, again, their pain points, their desires, their beliefs, all these different perspectives that they have as a customer or a non-customer. If you're surveying a non-customer, why didn't they buy? A fourth thing you can do is to hop on calls with your ideal customers or past customers to further research on all the necessary info I've been saying. So if you really want to take it a step further, hop on a call with them. A lot can be found out. You can dig very, very deep with someone that is open to hopping on a call for an hour. And you can dissect or you can, what am I trying to say? You can attain such incredible information that would serve as gold for your market messaging. Okay. And lastly, another thing you can do is even act as a customer. And as you're acting as a customer and going through this purchase process and analyzing the different competitors and seeing what they offer, etc., you're going to have all these different thoughts and beliefs. So as you're going through that process, note all the different thoughts and experiences you have. Essentially, what you're trying to do is put yourself in your prospects and slash customers' shoes. Okay. The next step is product research. So it's very simple. Conduct research on the product, whatever you're selling, how it compares to competitors, what value can you extract that customers would find value in, or are there things that set you apart? Product research is pretty straightforward. You can find a YouTube video. Again, I can, set some time aside to create a video just on the product research and how to do that effectively. But once you've done market research and product research, the last step, and a very fun step, and in my opinion, market research is actually pretty fun. But again, maybe I'm just being a little marketing nerd. But craft your copy accordingly. Okay, simply write the copy, conduct your edits, conduct your proofing, and you're set. You've got your copy. So that's really it. Market research, product research, write the copy. So when it comes to crafting high quality emails that generate sales, I want you to simply ask yourself these two questions. What's the objective of this email? Okay, you're about to write an email. You're about to write copy for one email. What is the objective of that email? Then I want you to ask, once you understand what the objective is, what's the best approach for this objective? Okay, what's the best way for you to approach this in your writing to achieve whatever objective you have for that email? Those two simple questions will put you on the right path. All right. If you're doing a holiday promo, it's going to be very different from an email you send on an average day. Okay. Overall, though, when you're writing your emails, you want to try to foster an authentic relationship through your copy. Always. It doesn't matter if you're writing a sales email, or if you're just writing a content email. It literally does not matter. Always try to foster an authentic relationship with your audience through your copy. Okay? Some great books to learn copywriting are, of course, anything from Ogilvy. Just go on Amazon, search Ogilvy, or Google, search Ogilvy, and all his stuff will pop up. He's got He's one of the greats from the past that you should study and you should understand, his perspectives. You don't need to follow it religiously, but understanding his perspectives will serve you well. Sorry, I think I've just been talking so much that certain words are starting to sound a little weird to me. Uh, but anyways, another book is How to Write a Good Advertisement, a short course in copywriting. I believe this is by Victor Schwab. Um, if it's not, correct me in the comments and just put that title and put who it's by, so that anyone else watching this video that's searching for it, they they can find it properly. They can find the right book. And the next book is called, or it's titled, The Robert Collier Letter Book. Okay, this is for people that are slightly more advanced in the copywriting space. But even if you start from scratch, I feel like you'll be fine if you're willing to legitimately put in the effort and study it. This is a great book. Okay, he talks about principles that you can leverage for your email, and it's just super powerful. Of course, there are tons more books, but these are solid, and you can find all types of resources online now to learn copywriting. Again, I'm gonna, if you guys want me to, I'll craft a very in-depth video for copywriting, because this is something very beneficial. I'm connected with some incredibly great copywriters that I can even bring them on as like a guest, and we can dive deep into that. So just let me know in the comments if you would want me to bring on some incredible copywriting guests that write for some, they write in so many different areas. Some I know that write in the health space, the finance space, um, ecom email space, sales letters, etc. Like, I know some incredible copywriters. I feel like I'm a pretty solid copywriter, but the people I know are just they're at a whole nother level. So if you want me to bring them on as a guest, I guess you can just comment below this video, copywriter guest, and I will happily bring them on so that you can learn and you can benefit from all their copyrighted secrets. I'll extract them all for you. Uh, but yeah, that's copywriting. So let's move on to step 7. Flows. Flows. All right. This is also very exciting. This is another fun and exciting step. Sounding a little redundant, but it's a step in the process. It's really I don't know how else to put it than exciting, because this is where you get to automate sales for your business to an extent. To an extent. And I say to an extent because you don't want to just set it and forget it. It's definitely beneficial to optimize and test different things on a consistent basis. So the frequency at which you optimize, totally up to you. At the bare minimum, try something quarterly. And if that's too much for you, doing it once every few months, do it at least every 6 months. All right. Flows are essentially your autoresponders. Okay. Klaviyo calls them flows. These, the automated sequences, those are categorized as flows. And then like one-off email blasts or anything like that, those are categorized as campaigns, just so you know. So flows are your autoresponders. These are the email journeys that people will go through based on specific actions they take or criteria you set. Okay? These are very, very powerful. And you'll certainly want to set up at the bare minimum the following: your welcome flow, your browse abandon flow, your cart abandon flow, your post-purchase flow, your anniversary flow, and there's 2 different anniversaries you can do. Not going to dive deep into it, but you can figure it out. Your birthday flow, cross-sell / upsell flows, some light ones, and your win-back flow. Okay? At the bare minimum, you should have those. And, you can even put like VIP flows as the bare minimum as well. But essentially, that's what you want to have a part of your flow strategy, so to say. All right, because this will help you to automate consistently a certain number of sales every month. And as your business grows, this helps you to make even more money. So flows. These, well, okay. Let me take a step back. Let's continue down that list. These are not mandatory, but when you implement them, they are super, super lucrative. Okay. First is my snowball flow. I've not seen anyone talk about this. If someone has, let me know. Well, I guess let me know in the future because I'm not going to dive deep. I'm not going to, just share my secret snowball flow like that. But I've coined it the snowball flow because when you implement my snowball flow, you will see your email marketing channel, your brand actually overall starts to have a snowball effect. It'll get bigger and bigger and bigger as it rolls down that hill. That's why I called it the snowball flow. I know it wasn't super creative, but the first thing that popped in my head felt like it would stick, and that's what I'm calling it. It's my snowball flow. So if you see anyone talking about the snowball flow anywhere, just know that I was the founder or the originator. But essentially, the snowball flow elevates your brand to a higher degree. Okay. This actually, I'm going to leave it at that because the snowball flow really deserves its own video. And if you really, really want me to share the snowball flow, then comment. Comment, boost this video up with the algorithm, whatever. Comment, let me know that you really, really want the snowball flow. Comment snowball. I don't care. Just comment and let me know that this is what you want because this is some serious flow magic. This will elevate the brand as a whole, not just email marketing, but the brand as a whole. And then, of course, custom flows. So, custom flows are exactly what it sounds like, flows that are custom to your brand, custom to your customer experience, custom to your consumer behavior. Okay. When you implement custom flows, the sky's the limit, really. Now, I have a visual for flows, kind of how I go about it, and we'll touch on it. So, flows, again, you want to have your core flows, you want to have your lucrative flows, you want to have your custom flows, and you want to have transactional emails. So, these aren't necessarily flows, but I've categorized them as flows because they're an automated email, and transactional emails are powerful for branding purposes rather than your customers get the rinky-dinky Shopify transactional emails. Create your own custom transactional emails. It's something that's so simple that actually uh, serves the brand well overall and gives your customer a better experience. And if you're strategic with it, you can actually generate sales with it. But there are certain things that you have to pay attention to with transactional emails. I'm not going to get super deep into that right now. But the priority are core flows, lucrative flows, custom flows. And I follow the same workflow for all of them, all flow creation. It's write the copy for the emails, design the emails. If you're serving clients, gain approval. If you're going for your own brand, you can skip that process and just go live with them. Okay. So very simple, very straightforward. But yeah, that's my flow visual, and I highly recommend you get creative with this part. Okay, again, think about your customers. Think about what's the best way to build an authentic relationship with them, and when you think about that, you think to yourself, okay, well, the best way to build an authentic relationship is to legitimately serve them, to really understand at a deeper level, what are they thinking, what are they feeling, so that you can see what are the problems that they're facing and how can I serve them, how can I lessen the pain through email, how can I develop an experience that as much pain as they're feeling for whatever they're going through, can I kind of flip that and help turn that negative experience into a positive experience through my email my email flow, the email experience I give them. And then if I do that, if I turn their negative experience to a positive experience simply by being in their inbox, don't you think they're going to attach that positive association to your brand? It's powerful, right? So really think, what is the best way to serve your customer, your customers, and use that as the foundation so that you can serve your customers to the highest degree of excellence, and you can create some incredible flows that, you have your standard flows, but you can also create custom flows that no one else will be able to replicate because it's custom and tailored to your brand, to your customer, to their experiences and the journeys that they go through. Now, some things that you want to consistently test with flows or the flow length. Okay. Your welcome flow. If you're new to this, or if you've just started an e-commerce brand, or if you had a e-commerce brand operating for a while and you've never tapped into email marketing, you might be like, oh, okay, just sending 3-4 emails is good. But you don't want to do that. Send more. Your welcome flow, that is your opportunity to prime your prospect to be your ideal customer, to set expectations and set those boundaries with them as a customer, to let them know how things go when they are in your ecosystem as a brand. Okay, a welcome flow is very powerful. You can do 30 emails. You can do a daily email for 30 days, and you can even tell them like, hey, this is what's going to happen. And essentially you cultivate, or you leverage that flow to cultivate the best customer possible. Okay, your browse abandon flow, this is something that is very powerful as well. And if you're not generating sales from your browse abandon flow, then there's something that's got to be tweaked. Essentially, every flow that you have should be making money, and it should be making a good chunk of money per recipient. At least $2 to $5 per recipient. And that's even if you're selling, a $50 product, or if your average order value is even like $30 to $50, you should be able to get bare minimum $2 to $5 per recipient if you're doing everything correctly. So yeah, that's your browse abandon. Your cart abandon, another very powerful one. All these different flows, a very simple thing that you can do to get an instant win is to just create simple splits between first-time customers, second-time customers, third time, and so on. That's a very simple way to get instant wins. And then tailor each email to that specific journey. Tailor your emails to first-time customers for first-time customers. Tailor your emails to second-time customers for second-time customers. Change the way you communicate with them. Treat them a little bit differently. Treat them with a little bit more love. Treat them with a little bit more, with love. Just focus on continuing to build that authentic relationship. Now, yeah, I was about to go one by one, but you get the gist of the flows. And so, yeah, consistently test the flow length. Consistently test the time delays. Okay, so the time in between each email that's being sent within a flow, test them out. Everything at an email level, you definitely want to consistently test that. And when I say everything at an email level, I'm talking about subject line, the preview text, the call to action, the way you design the emails, the copy, your offers, etc. And also consistently test different angles. Test a bunch of different angles and see what's the best way to approach this particular customer in this particular journey or step of their journey, and what's going to generate the best results. Split test that. So that is flows. Let's turn this Grammarly off. And wow, we are an hour and 4 minutes in. If you have truly found value in this video so far, do me a favor and like the video. Do me another favor and comment, because there's a lot of things that I can go very in depth in. And comment if there's a specific thing that you that you want me to dive deeper in. Or if you have a specific question about something, go ahead and comment it and I'll be happy to answer it. But now moving on to the next step. Step 8. Campaigns. I know I've already said this, but this is also a very, very fun step. You can get super creative in this step. And this is also a step in the process where many people get stuck or overwhelmed with. So I've got a few things that I want to touch on in no specific order, but let's start with frequency. It's a myth that you'll bother your audience if you send more than a few emails a month. Okay, that's a myth. People say this because for a multitude of reasons. I'm not going to get into them. If you wanna search it, you can. Uh, but just understand that it's a myth. You will not bother your audience or your list by sending more than one email a week if you actually have emails that are worthy of their time. Okay. I recommend you send at least 2 to 3 emails a week. This is what I do with my clients, is the base minimum that I like to implement. And you can even send more. You can, in fact, send daily and generate sales in every single email, even in emails when you're not selling. Okay. I do this. I do this with clients. We do not have any CTA. We do not have any sort of offer. It is simply a well constructed piece of copy driven email, or a well constructed copy driven email that is focused on building an authentic relationship. And this generates sales. And we don't have to give any sort of discount. We don't have to, you know, turn it into a salesy email or anything like that. We're just simply crafting a high quality email that builds an authentic relationship and it generates sales. Next thing are send times. Send times, I don't want you to overthink it. Of course, you can test different send times and see what works best. But when you're sending consistently good emails, the send time becomes irrelevant because people will always look forward to your emails. Okay, this is massive. This is massive because if you can write high quality copy and just deliver incredible emails to people's inboxes that they enjoy, that gives them some sort of form of escapism. And yes, you can do this in e-commerce. I literally do it with my clients and it generates sales. Your email will always be opened. Okay? If you consistently send good emails, people will consistently want to read your emails. And when people consistently want to read your emails, that improves your deliverability. That improves the relationship that you're building with them. And that will generate more sales for you. That will build more brand evangelists for you and higher value long-term customers. Segmentation. This is where it can get very, very powerful because now you can create a very personalized experience for your audience. Okay? Segmentation is so powerful because of the fact that you can create an extremely personalized experience with your audience. And for example, if you were to blast your entire email list with some general copy trying to do a sale, and you were to offer a discount, your take rate, your placed order rate with that discount, I can tell you right now will be significantly lower compared to making an offer to different segments, but you've tailored the messaging to them simply because you created a personalized experience. I can tell you that from experience. Okay. So please take time to create some very powerful segments for your brand. It's definitely worth it. Messaging. So this allows you to test a variety of angles, your campaigns. The ability to send one-off emails allows you the ability to test a variety of angles, even on small audiences, to determine what's the best approach. And what I do as well is when I see a very high performing campaign, I try to, maybe publish that once or two more times, but tweaking it a little bit just to see if that specific angle or that specific message that I was getting across is the thing that's performing. Because when you are able to confirm that, you can actually take that high performing campaign email and plug it into a flow accordingly, wherever it fits. And you can rest assured that that is a proven email that's going to generate sales. Excuse me. So that's a very powerful tactic that you can leverage. Some tips that I have for campaigns is to map out your campaigns at least 90 days in advance. Okay. It's going to make your life so much easier. If you can map out your campaigns and have a campaign strategy for the next 90 days, it's so much easier to know what you're going to execute on. And it allows you the ability to write emails last minute if there's something that is going on in real time in the world that you want to leverage, whether there's a trend or something going on. Now you don't have to think like, oh, okay, I had to write all these emails, so now I can't even do this. I can't even ride the wave of this particular trend because I have all these other emails to write. But if you have a campaign in place, it helps you with your organization. It helps you to just generate better results and be a little bit more strategic with how you're communicating with your audience. Another tip is to just have fun with it. Have fun with the emails you write. Don't be so formal and professional. Have fun with the emails you write. Again, when you create segments, you're going to be able to talk to these people in different ways. And this is powerful because when you're able to let loose and just have fun with the emails you're writing, instead of trying to create the most beautiful piece of artwork or trying to write some direct response copy that's going to be super hard on selling, and you just have fun with it, people are not stupid. Like, they're able to pick that up just through your email, just through your writing. They're able to pick up what you're trying to do and pretty much how you're trying to interact with them. So have fun with it. And actually, to give you an example, I have a client that he was a little bit, he wasn't as open to this idea of just like messing about with certain emails, obviously be tasteful and strategic with it. But he allowed me the opportunity to test it. Okay. And even when I presented him the email, all the copy and everything, he was like, I don't really know this. I don't feel like this will perform. It's just not for our audience. We have an older demographic. This sounds a little too silly and whatever. I was like, that's fine. I get it. Just give me the opportunity to test it once. That's it. Okay. And he allowed me the opportunity. And what happened? Generated a couple $1,000s in sales with an email that he was not super receptive towards. And it was an email that I was silly with. I was just having fun with it. It had to do with aliens, and it was just a funny email, right? Which had nothing to do with the brand. Like, aliens had nothing to do with the brand. The storyline was just silly, right? But generated sales. So have fun with it. And then email to specific segments. Don't just blast your entire email list. Okay. If you blast your entire list, people are going to get annoyed. You're going to get reported spam. You're going to get unsubscribes from people that maybe necessarily don't even want to unsubscribe, but just because you're not treating them with that respect as a unique human being and building that authentic relationship with them, people unsubscribe. Bank analogy. Okay, so the bank analogy. 1 second. The bank analogy. So when you go to the bank, you can deposit money, you can withdraw money. Okay. Your campaign emails are similar to that. Think of your customer as the bank. You always want to have an uptrend in the way you're developing your relationship. You always want to keep it moving forward in a positive manner, right? Just like in real life, when you make a friend, for the most part, you want to continue moving forward, have a bunch more positive experiences than you do negative. Now, it's the same with campaign emails. You want to make more deposits make more deposits than withdrawals, so that you are always moving in that uptrend, right? So What do I mean by this? What I mean is that a withdrawal is typically when you're going to ask for the sale, when you're maybe a little bit harder with more direct responsey type of emails, more salesy emails. Um, for every direct response or salesy type of email, you can you probably want to do 2 to 3 withdrawals. I mean, sorry, not withdrawals. We're at an hour and 15. Getting a little tired here, but you want to make 2 to 3 deposits for every withdrawal you make. For every sale you ask for or you conduct, you want to deposit 2 to 3 emails of goodwill, of content, of building that relationship up, or of whatever, right? So otherwise, if you're always just asking for the sale, you're going to annoy your customer, you're going to irritate them, and that's when, this idea of, oh, don't send more than one email a week to your audience, that's where that kind of comes from. It's because the brands that do send one email per week send a sales email, and that's the issue. Now, the next tip that I have for you is to leverage story selling here. Okay, story selling. If you haven't heard of this, well, I'm going to tell you about it. Story selling is the ability to tell a story, to take your customer or your prospect who you want to turn into a customer through a story that they can enjoy and tie it in to a call to action or tie it in with your product. So this is extremely powerful because the selling, you're still able to sell, but you're selling very subtly. And this is what makes up 95% of my sales emails. I have actually maybe even more because I rarely write like a hard sales email. I rarely do that. If I'm doing sales emails, it's story selling. And if I'm not doing story selling, it's story based emails or other type of emails that focus on building the relationship with literally no CTA or any offer, and it still generates sales. But story selling is powerful. So when you're able to do that, when you're able to take people to enjoy the email that you're writing, but you're able to incorporate your product within it and make them realize like, wow, this, they have a positive association with it, but then also they realize like if you're strategic with your story, you're able to tie in the product and people can now see it in their mind. You know why in the e-commerce space they say you want to have super good product photos, and not like with a white backdrop, but like product photos where the product is in use. And do you want to know why UGC content performs really well? It's because people are able to visualize what it's like as if they had that product. And it's just as powerful when you do it with copy. Okay, now people might be like, oh, we need to show it with a picture. No, if you're able to eloquently describe the product and eloquently tie in the product into a story that your customer or your prospect can now envision and have a positive association with, you'll be able to generate the sale with a very simple ask, a very soft CTA at the very end. And even not even have a button to click, but just the image of the product at the very bottom. It's very powerful. If you can master that, you're golden. So another tip is to nail your messaging and build authentic relationships. I've said this multiple times, build authentic relationships. I'm going to say it again, build authentic relationships. It's so powerful. It's so powerful. You'll be able to generate sales with no CTA. I've already mentioned this multiple times, how I've generated sales with no CTA, no offer, no nothing in an email, except high quality copy that is focused on building an authentic relationship. I've been able to generate sales with those type of emails. And that's essentially the point you want to get to, where you're not really selling anything, but you're top of mind and people are like, oh yeah, I really like what they're saying. I want to go get this now. And I have a visual. I think this will be the last visual last visual. So 4 campaigns. It's very simple. This is sort of workflow that you can leverage. Very simple workflow. So with campaigns, you want to map out your campaigns. And while you're mapping out your campaigns, this is going to consist of an ideation phase. Then you want to create offers. And when you create your offers, get very creative with them. Don't create BS 10%, 20% discounts, and don't create fake urgency or scarcity or any of that crap. Just like create some high quality offers that show that you respect your customer, that you value the relationship that you have with your customer. We are now in a day and age where everyone kind of understands that online business is a thing. Everyone kind of understands online marketing a little bit, the different tricks that marketers like to play. And this is why it takes such a relationship based approach, is because the market awareness of e-commerce customers nowadays, they understand all this. They understand, oh, if I add something to cart and I wait for a little bit, they're going to send me a discount eventually. They all know this. And so what I do is I take a relationship based approach so that we don't dilute the brand to discounts. In fact, all my clients in the cart abandon, we have zero discounts because we're focused on building that relationship. So yeah, in the campaign mapping process, you want to go through the ideation phase, just 90 days. Always try to map out for 90 days. It'll make your life so much easier. Craft compelling offers. And then if you're serving a brand, obviously you want to gain approval on those offers. If you're managing your own brand, you're set. Then once you've conducted your campaign mapping, you want to build your campaigns. So building your campaigns consists of writing the copy, designing the campaigns, and if you're serving a brand, approval process. If you're not doing it for yourself, you can just go ahead and schedule the campaigns. So that's it for the campaign workflow. It's pretty powerful. It looks simple, but you know, oftentimes the simple things are what moves the needle forward the best. So yeah, that's for campaigns. That's step 8. And now let's go to step 9, analytics. And before we dive into analytics, I'm going to take a quick sip of water. Awesome. So with analytics, I want you to be as creative as you can possibly be when it comes to your marketing, your email marketing, whatever. Like when it comes to your brand, be as creative as possible. But you should also find a balance between being creative all the time and going with what you think is best and leveraging data to make data driven decisions. Over time, you will naturally know what works best with your brand and what works best with your audience because you're in it day in and day out. But if you really need a positive reinforcement for certain actions, just look at the data. And what I mean by, you know, sometime once you're in it day in and day out, you'll kind of know what works and what doesn't. What I mean by that is, like, personally, I already know certain things like story selling work really, really, really well. That's why I'm able to share this with you and tell you, if you go implement this and you do it properly, it will work very, very well for you. You will generate sales, you'll build better customer relationships, it'll increase the longevity of your brand. Like, you'll be golden. So again, like I said, I personally know story selling works really well. But when you're not sure if something's going to work, there's no need to stress about it. There's no need to be overwhelmed. Simply test it, look at the data, and make a data driven decision. And the beautiful thing about this is that the more you do it, the more ingrained it gets in your mind of what's working and what's not working. And then there's going to be different times where you're very creative, and naturally with your intuition, you're going to be able to be like, okay, yeah, let's roll with this. I don't have to think twice about it because I know it's going to work. So metrics to look at. And I don't want you to get caught up with all these different metrics, but when it's time to look at certain metrics, this is what you can look at. Open rates. Okay, essentially open rates equal subject line. If you're getting low open rates and it's not a deliverability issue, then it's most likely your subject line and like the preview text. Typically with open rates, you want to aim for a minimum 30%. I consistently generate 60, 70, 80% open rates for my clients. So if you're like at the bare minimum, it should be at least 30%, really. But even 30%, I'd consider it as poor performance. Your click rates. So typically, if your click through rate is low, that can kind of tie in with your messaging and your call to action. But with that, you should be aiming for 3% plus on average. Okay, at least on average. Some campaign emails will perform a little bit lower, maybe 2%, 2.5%. That's fine, but on average, you should be generating at least 3%. With my clients, I'm consistently generating about 5%, and I feel like that's a healthy mark as well. But 3% is solid, and you should aim for that. But revenue is really the metric that's the most important, okay? Because sales is what matters. Who cares about an open rate if you're generating crazy sales? Obviously, you want to optimize everything as much as possible, but you got to understand that nowadays, like all these email service providers, uh, all these different email service providers, their open rates are not necessarily super accurate. Okay, so that's why I said don't get super caught up with the metrics, and if you own your own brand and you're trying to do email marketing for yourself, or you're gonna go hire someone and you just wanted to watch this video to learn a little bit more about it, so you can make a good hire, don't get caught up in the metrics. Obviously, you want to optimize as much as possible, but if your open rates look terrible, or your open rates just like, let's say you're getting a 40% open rate and you want like a 75% open rate, but your sales are looking fantastic, don't worry about it. Sales are what matters. And if you're in the e-commerce space, I mean, sales is really the only thing that will allow your business to grow even further, because that's what you get to use as leverage. Now, unsubscribe rate, don't get caught up with the unsubscribe rate. If you're doing everything properly, you're going to get unsubscribes. And I actually welcome unsubscribes with open arms, because those are customers or prospects that are saying, I will not be a customer, or I do not want to shop with you anymore, so I'm leaving. And I want that, because we don't want to waste money on this customer, paying for this customer to be on the list. And we don't want to waste time or effort sending emails to them when in the future they could just report us as spam and hurt our deliverability. So in the beginning, if you're emailing a dormant list, you'll have a higher unsub rate, but it'll go down over time as you start to prime your list with ideal prospects and customers. And that's a key takeaway you should have, is that your unsubscribe rate should definitely be below 1%, consistently. In the beginning, it will be much higher, especially if you're emailing a dormant list. But after a certain period of time, once you have everything dialed in, you're naturally going to have some unsubscribes, and it should be lower than 1%, lower than a 0.5% of your entire list. And it's going to depend on the size of your list as well. But it's something that is very powerful, because now when you do everything the way that you want with a relationship based approach, you're now priming your email list with the ideal prospects and customers. And this is massive, because now every time you send an email, what's going to happen? Sales are going to flow. Sales are going to flow in, and you've just got an incredible marketing channel that's making you money, and it doesn't cost you to make money, right? So always remember that unsubs are good. Don't pay too much attention to this unless you're getting a significant unsub rate, which means that simply means you need to look at the entire marketing funnel to see what's leading to this. And when I say entire marketing funnel, it's not just email marketing, it's your ecom store, your paid traffic side of things. Like, what type of people are you bringing into your environment? And are those people even suited for the type of environment you want them to be a part of? Now, spam rate is definitely, it should definitely be as low as possible. Okay, the spam rate is actually something to pay attention to, because this is what can hurt your deliverability. And if you're consistently getting reported spam, you first want to ask yourself, is your unsubscribe link easily accessible? Some people, I don't know where they're getting this. Some people have put out bad information saying that you should hide your unsubscribe link. So, because you don't want unsubs, like unsubs are bad. They're not bad. They're incredible. You already know this. I just explained it to you. But the spam rate, that's what hurts you. And the best way, typically, what people do is they try to gray out or like they make it difficult to see the unsubscribe link. Make that unsubscribe link a decent size, make it easily accessible so that the people that do want to unsubscribe simply unsubscribe. And even tell your audience, like, hey, if you want to unsubscribe, like if you're waking up a dormant list, in your first few emails, say, if you do not want to receive any of my emails, unsubscribe now. Here's a big old fat link that you can click and click it. Get off my list. We don't want to waste time with those type of people. So that's the first thing. And if it's not easily accessible, make it. And if you continue to get that like a high spam rate over a long period of time, then consider other factors like your messaging, your design, your consistency. There's a bunch of different factors. If you search what to look out for, or why do I have a high spam rate, spam report rate, or whatever, you'll get a list of different factors that come into play when it comes to it. And again, if you want me to create a video on how to get out of spam and even fight against being reported spam and have a low spam rate in a separate video, comment below and let me know. Now, another thing, a cool pattern to analyze actually is to see what type of messaging resonates best with your audience. And how do you do this? Well, you simply do this by seeing fan mail come in. Okay. For my clients, we get fan mail because we write high quality, high converting copy. And because we have these copy driven emails that are just immaculate, we get fan mail. We get people writing in, replying to these emails, saying how much they love whatever messaging we gave to them because it resonated with them at such a deep level. And getting fan mail is one of the quickest ways to know that you're on the right track. Again, I routinely generate fan mail from my clients because of how well crafted the emails are, which take into consideration all the different factors that we've discussed up until now. And every single step that we've discussed that leads to getting fan mail. So that's step 9. And before we go to the last step, we are officially an hour and 32 minutes in. If you have found value in this video, please just like the video. I'm probably going to lose my voice tomorrow. And at the time of recording this, tomorrow I have 2 calls. One to potentially sign a client, and one to connect with an incredible friend that I've made that is in the copywriting space that I would love to bring him on as a copywriting guest. And I'm going to have to show up for those calls with a lost voice and explain to them that I spent over an hour and a half recording an incredible video, giving all my secrets away. Well, not all of them, because I can obviously dive deeper on a lot of them, but pretty much filming a full guide to help people make tens of thousands of dollars with their email marketing channel for free of charge. Actually, just for a simple like. And I would want to be able to show them tomorrow, or show them in the future, that, hey, it was worth talking to me while I sounded like a turkey. Because look at all the likes I got. Look at all the people I've helped. But anyways, just like the video, do me that favor if you found value in it. If you haven't found value in it, comment, say that it was shit, say that was a terrible video, whatever. I don't mind. Last step, step 10. So overarching principles. These are pretty much key takeaways that I want to give to you that I've learned through my experience of email marketing, and what I found to be very effective and kind of goes hand in hand with my approach. So, last sip of water. Let's do this. First is to build authentic relationships, okay? I've said this numerous times over the course of this video, Build authentic relationships with your customers, with your audience. That is what's going to make the biggest difference. That is what's going to elevate your brand or the brand that you're serving for longevity, for impact, for scale, and for profit. You will naturally generate more sales, have a higher LTV for your customers when you build authentic relationships, and you will experience some incredible skill because that will actually fuel the word of mouth marketing. And we all know how powerful word of mouth marketing is. Another principle that I like to really instill into everything I do in business is to always have the focus of serving your customers best you can. Okay? Serve your customers to the highest degree of excellence because they are the lifeblood of your business. If you do not serve them to the best of your ability, then and your brand isn't growing, then you don't deserve to have a fruitful brand. You simply don't. If you're going to treat your customers like shit, then don't cry when you're not generating the sales you want. Don't cry when a customer drops off after 2 purchases, when they could be worth 20, 30 purchases. Treat them with respect. Set boundaries and expectations to be able to create and foster a positive environment for them to be in. And simply serve them. Come from a place of service. Okay? Another principle is to build, or key takeaways, to build personalized experiences. When your customer is able to come into your brand's ecosystem and feel like they're the only one that you are talking to, the only one that exists in that ecosystem, that's powerful. They will only want to be in your ecosystem because they feel like they are being given all the attention and being treated the best, like no other brand will ever treat them. So build personalized experiences. Next is to not dilute your brand with discounts. This goes hand in hand with serving your customers. When you dilute your brand to discounts, that not only hurts you as a brand, but that hurts your customer experience because now your customer is not going to value whatever they buy from you as much because you gave them a discount, because you've diluted your brand to a stupid little discount. You want to reserve discounts for special occasions. Okay? And when you do give out a discount, make it the best damn discount you've ever done given. All right, a little dramatic there. But make it the best damn discount you have ever given. Seriously. Because if you don't dilute your brand to discounts, when it comes to Black Friday, Cyber Monday, perfect example, that's when everyone is always expecting a discount. You'll be able to give the biggest discount and generate crazy amounts of sales because they will understand that that will never happen again. Or what I like to do is give what you would normally give. People want to give a 10 to 20%, even 25 to 30, which is insane. 30% discount when people opt in for your email list. That's ridiculous. But if you give a 20% discount or 25% discount in a Black Friday or Cyber Monday sale, while others are giving 50% discounts or 35 or 45, whatever, not only are you not like losing out on your margins, but you're still going to generate a ton of sales because again, they're going to understand, your customers will understand that this is never going to happen again, or it only happens once a year or twice a year. So that's why I say don't dilute your brand with discounts. And in fact, this will help your customers to perceive, to have a better perception of your brand. Okay. Always test new ideas. This is something that's very powerful. Always test new ideas because when you test new ideas, you'll be able to learn different things that work, and you'll be able to get super creative, and you might have an idea that no one's ever had, and simply because you test it, you learn that it works, and now you're able to scale that up and just generate a ton of sales and grow your brand significantly. Another principle is to focus on the copy, not the pictures or design. Focus on the copy. And if you don't believe that copy will make a difference, that it's the copy that makes a difference, test it. Simply test it. But when you conduct that test, ensure that you have high quality copy written. Because I don't want someone commenting saying, "Oh, I made the test, Kevin. I tested a beautiful art piece and a copy driven email, and the art piece won." And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask for that copy driven email, and I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to most likely see that it's terrible copy. And I'm going to ask, who did you send this email to? What's the segment? What's the purpose of it? And then I'm going to create a YouTube video about it and break it down on why it's so shit. But seriously, focus on the copy, not the pictures or design. Next, you want to craft high quality and creative offers. Okay, this goes hand in hand with not diluting your brand to discounts. Create high quality and creative offers. Stand out with your offers. This is a big thing. Stand out with your offer and just have a quality offer that's worth your customer's time. Okay, don't be lazy and say, "Oh, it's 20, 30% off." No, craft a quality offer because they deserve a quality offer. They deserve that respect as a customer because they're exchanging their hard earned cash for whatever your offer is. And if you have a high quality offer, not only will they perceive it as a higher quality product, but they will gladly hand over their hard earned cash every single time because you show them that respect as a customer. Next is to clean your list routinely. Over time, you're going to want to suppress certain subscribers from marketing emails. Okay. So clean your list because you don't want a bloated list that, your Klaviyo costs increase because you have to pay a monthly plan for Klaviyo if you don't already know that. And you don't want to be paying for subscribers that you're not necessarily getting sales from, or they don't have the potential to become a customer and be a long-term high value customer. So clean your list routinely. I highly recommend quarterly. If your list is even bigger, even monthly, it would be worth it. But at the bare minimum, every 6 months. Don't get caught up with unsubscribes. They are good. Okay, I've already went over this. Rewind back to that. So that's part of the video where I'm talking about unsubscribes. Optimize your segmentation for your brand. You're going to be able to learn a lot of segmentation tactics. I'm even going to share a lot of segmentation strategies that are very, very powerful. But even if I share a segmentation strategy that allows your email marketing channel to quadruple and beyond, let's say I'm able to 10x your email marketing channel through my segmentation strategy, that will not compare, or that will pale in comparison to your segmentation, your custom segmentation that you set for your brand. Okay? Because that's tailored to your brand. I don't know your brand. And nor do all these other people on YouTube or Google or people selling their cheat sheets or whatever. They don't know your brand in and out. So if you can ask yourself the difficult questions on how, go back to the segmentation area and you can ask those questions on what's the best way to approach, what's the best way to serve, and what's the best way to communicate with your customers, you're going to be able to generate or develop a very highly profitable segment. And that's something that I cannot do for you unless you hire me to do it. Okay? So obviously learn from others because like I said, I'm going to be sharing some segmentation strategies if I see that there's comments down below this video saying that they want it. Uh, and they will serve you very, very well. But nothing will ever serve you as well as a custom segmentation strategy for your brand. Don't turn your emails into glorified billboards. Just don't. I'm just going to leave it at that. That's all I got to say. Don't turn your emails into glorified billboards. Don't turn your email marketing channel into a boring, broken advertising channel. This is so important. Do not turn your email marketing channel into a broken, boring advertising channel because that's what a lot of people do. Discount here, discount there. We got this promo coming up. We got this holiday sale. We got this, that, blah, blah, blah. Always a sale going on. You don't want to advertise to your audience. You want to build an authentic relationship. Okay. And lastly, build an experience like no other that your customer would be dumbfounded by and want to talk about it with everyone they know. Because when they are just so wowed by the experience you've crafted for them, that you were helping them walk through, they're going to want to talk about that with everyone else. And again, we know how powerful word of mouth marketing is. So take that into consideration. These are my overarching principles. I have a ton more, but this is all that, I was able to put onto paper without overwhelming myself on trying to create a list. And, I didn't want to overwhelm you either with information overload, 50, 60 different things. But use this video as a resource. Come back to it. It is a long video. Go step by step. Go step by step and use this as a resource, okay? This is what some people will probably charge $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 either through course form, consultation form, or whatever, just to be able to share this type of information for you, just to be able to set up some sort of structure like I've shared with you, and to dive a little bit deep into each particular step. So while this is free, don't take it for granted. Leverage this, because I can guarantee you right now that if you legitimately take action and you use this video that I've spent 1 hour and 47 minutes recording at this point, you will generate thousands, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars just with this video. I guarantee it. Because this is what I've used with my clients. And obviously there's a lot of different things that you can dive very deep into, which I will in my channel. But this foundation is just so powerful. This is really all you need to get started. This will instantly, I can tell you right now, this alone will instantly get you in the 20 to 30% plus mark. Instantly. Okay? So if you've enjoyed this video, if you found value in it, whoa, wait, actually, don't click off this video, because I know everyone wants to click off when they get to the end. And if you clicked off, you're going to miss out on a very, very important secret I'm about to share with you. I'm just kidding. If you like the video, go ahead and like it, give it a thumbs up. And if there's any particular questions you have, feel free to ask it in the comments. If you want to follow me on Instagram, that'll be linked. And just check out whatever other links I have in the description. They'll be valuable. And I'll leave it at that. See you in the next video.